This is Carlin Reed. I'm the chair of the PEG Access Advisory Committee. We're opening the meeting for today on April 6th. For PEG Access, first thing to do is briefly read the agenda. And I see that we have, we're going to do a roll call, then get an MMN update on staffing. We'll talk about the Comcast franchise renewal process, and Sue Busky has graciously agreed to join us for that portion. We'll be taking a look at minutes. We have 4 sets actually: January 5, February 2, September 8, and March 3. We'll talk about our next meetings. We'll get to, then we'll get a liaison and public comments, and we'll adjourn. So that's roughly the agenda for today. Now, first thing let's do a roll call. On my screen, when I say your name, please say yes, here, hello, or something like that. Carlin Reed, I'm here. Corey Atkins.
Yes, here. Hello.
Cynthia Rainey.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Vince Carlson.
Here.
Okay, so we've got all 4 members are here. Also present are Nancy Pierce, Carlisle, Sue Busky from California, Jason Bolger, our CTO, and MMN folks as well. Okay, so we have a quorum. Let's go turn it over to Jason briefly. Update on staffing. How are things going, Jason?
Things are going well. So Mark has been gone for a couple of weeks now, and we've been trying to coordinate resources to fill in the gap. He left big shoes to fill, but Matt and Tori have been doing a terrific job, and the videographers have been stepping up to cover additional events that Mark had been assisting with previously. I can't thank Matt and Tori enough for their willingness to alter their schedules and help set up for special events. They are working weekends and nights in this interim period until we can make sure we get staffing up to where we would like it. We've been recruiting for a videographer position. We're looking for 3 individuals right now, with the knowledge that we won't really be adding any hours necessarily, but just having a deeper pool. We have a lot of times where we struggle to get somebody to cover a particular meeting with the 3 that we have currently on staff. So just getting more people who could be available both to work big events, but also to cover if people's schedules have conflicts. The town meetings are coming up for both Concord and Carlisle, April 30th and May 8th. So we've been having internal meetings about those to make sure that we get the resources needed. Mark Pauly has graciously offered to continue as a consultant to help us with the setup and coordination of those 2 meetings. He will not be there at Concord's town meeting in the first day because he has a previous engagement that he's booked, but he will be helping us set up to make sure that technically everything is working and all the signals and feeds are working. It's an amazingly complex production that happens at that high school with the multiple rooms and the video walls and the feeds and the streaming and the radio and all that stuff. So I think we're in good shape already. We've already started planning. We have the diagrams, we have some pictures and plans already. So in the next week or so, we'll probably build the environment in the studios like we did last year to kind of get ready and make sure we all know what everything is and where it goes and how it connects. But that should be good. I've had a couple of meetings with some folks in Carlisle to meet the town administrator over there and just talk to staff about their needs and make sure that we're seeing to the events that they would like covered. And yeah, so it's busy times right now, but that's
Okay. Any questions for Jason on MMN updates? Vince, go ahead.
Jason, for a town meeting, is there an outside contractor that's going to provide any services?
Yes, so the town manager's office does go out to bid, and I believe Boston Light and Sound won the bid again this year. And so they will assist with the video walls and the audio in the room, and then they provide their audio feed to us so that we can use that for the video that goes out live and is streamed on the website and recorded.
Okay, the assisted living listening group was asking me about it, and I said I'd check with you to see if the Williams sound equipment was going to be installed the way that it was the last time.
Yeah, that's our intention, is to duplicate what we had done last time.
Okay, great.
Okay, any more questions for Jason about the MN staff update? Okay. All right, let's go to the next item agenda. But before we do, I just want to let you know, we've had an interest expressed by a gal named Megan Carroll to join our committee. So she may join us later on today. I've taken a look, I've looked at her volunteer card, and she's done film. She sent an email around earlier today. So it would be really nice to be able to fill that spot. I'll talk to her after this meeting as well. So that if Megan does come on, we'll give her some airtime to say hello. Okay, Comcast franchise renewal. Sue, this is where you're going to come up. We have a couple things going on. I have some documents related to this. The most recent, we've done a press release, and the most recent one is dated 4.6. We've done Donna McIntosh has revised a postcard that may need to have a little bit more updates. We have a new web page for the Comcast franchise renewal that's also been created, and then we've got the needs assessment plan. So let's take a look. Turn it over to Sue. Again, basic goal is of May 10th, 11th. We have 3 focus groups, and we also have a survey coming up, and we have more things going on. Go ahead, Sue.
Okay, so this point in time from here on out is going to be really busy because we are planning for and beginning to promote the focus groups and the online survey. And it's interesting because post-COVID, it's been more and more difficult to get people to come and voice their opinion and get engaged in the community meetings and community focus groups in particular. I've noticed this all over the country where I'm working. So Jason made an excellent suggestion yesterday when Carlin and he and I were on the phone, sort of walking through some just general logistical things we needed to be thinking about. And that is to have a landing page on the town website, which will have all the information about the community focus group meetings. And then as we get closer and closer to the focus group meetings, we'll start to post information on the online survey. Now, you may remember that the focus group meetings are the 10th and the 11th, and thanks to everyone's work there at Town Hall, we have a really nice postcard that's been designed, and it highlights the focus group meetings, and that's going to be going out sometime in the next, I'm going to guess 2 weeks, but Jason or Carlin may have a better estimate of when that will be going out in the mail. The RSVP process on the focus group meetings is pretty important. We will have, and it's already on the landing page, an opportunity for people to RSVP for the community focus group meetings. We want to get a sense of who's signing up in advance. For one, we want to make sure we have enough materials to hand out at the meetings. Number 2, we want to make sure we have the room set up properly to accommodate the number of people who are coming. And number 3, we want to make sure that we have the proper amount of refreshments for everybody who's coming. So RSVP is important. So as we move forward, we would like to see all of you at the meetings and all your friends and neighbors and colleagues, because the more input, the better when it comes to these license renewal processes. The online survey will be finished up probably in about 2 weeks. My partner and I are in Worcester all of next week doing focus group meetings there, and he'll be finishing up a draft. After that, he may have a draft by the end of this week. I doubt it, but in any case, that's an important part of our process. And that online survey will be opening, and this is something that we talked a little bit about yesterday, and I need to get a little bit more clarity myself on exactly when we're going to open it. But it will stay, stay open till early June. In fact, on the work plan, you can see if you pull it up and have it there handy, we're going to keep the online survey open until June 9th. So once it opens, it'll stay open till June 9th. So we'll be getting information not only through the community focus group meetings, but also through the online survey, 2 different kinds of information. The information that we get that comes from the online survey is a bit more looking back. the information that comes from the focus group meetings is a much more forward looking. Now, there are forward looking questions on the online survey as well, but that's why having people participate in both the focus groups and the online survey is so important. With that, there are a number of things that we have started to talk about with regard to promotion, but there will be promotion with a postcard, e-blasts. Okay. There'll be postings in the newspaper, and that'll be about both the online survey and the focus group meetings. And I'll stop there for the moment and see if Carlin or Jason have other things they want to add based on our conversation the last few days.
Thank you, Sue. First, let me make sure the committee members know that we have a new landing page. It's concordma.gov/cable TV. And if you haven't taken a look at it, please do so. If you can, I would encourage you to pick one or more of the focus groups and do an RSVP for it and see how it works. I've already done it and I've RSVP'd for all three. So, and Sue's received them. So process does work on that. So I would recommend that you sign up for one or more of the focus groups through that landing page. Jason, thank you again for getting that. Corey?
ConcordMass.gov.
No, it's the Concord ma.gov/cable TV. You can find it on the PEG's webpage. There's a link to it from there. But the short URL is concordmat.gov/cable TV. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Jason, thanks again for getting that set up so quickly. I really appreciate that. And it's got all the information on it as well. Jason, do you know from Donna how long it will take to get the postcard up and running so that we can send it out?
I don't know, but I can get that information tomorrow.
Okay. There's schedule. I know.
Yeah.
The only thing that
I'm working on it.
I think the only thing that needs to be revised is to get the new URL on it.
Yep.
Okay. I had spoken to Donna earlier, and she said that once we get the postcard finalized, it'll take probably about a week to get it out.
How long will it take? Excuse me.
Go ahead, Corey.
Do we have any estimate on how long it will hit? I have been waiting for a letter that was mailed 2 weeks ago.
I don't know. These are postcards. Hopefully it'll get faster. When the DEI commission sent out their postcards townwide, it took about a week. And that's the same kind of process we're expecting for this as well. So Sue, that means that when your online survey being ready around the 20th or 21st, that'll be about the time that people will probably actually receive the postcards too, maybe a little bit before then.
And driving people to the landing page is going to be great because we'll have both the information on it, on the focus groups and on the online survey there. So,
right. That sounds good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Two things. I'd like to get the committee's okay to finalize this press release. And it's the one that was sent out on this morning on April 6th. It was at a revision on it that has the new URL on it. Have you seen it all? Cynthia, have you seen it? You're okay with it? Okay. Vince, have you seen the new press release?
Yeah, it looks fine to me.
Okay. Corey, what about you? Do you have any questions about the new
No,
press?
I haven't seen it, but
Do I have the capability? Hey, I can share a screen. I can pull it up. Shall I pull it up for you folks? I could do.
yes.
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Let's
Yeah.
do that. Let me see what I can do here. Okay.
I was trying to pull it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can try this. All right. All right. Can you see that press release?
Okay, here we go. Yep.
Yeah, it's 4/6. So that's what it looks like. And so the way on the first pages, we have the description, we've got the time. It says that the postcard's coming soon. It gives the time and locations for the 3 focus groups. It mentions that there's going to be a drawing. Jason, we have this phrase as a local business. That can be a restaurant, anything, whatever you think is appropriate. But that's the phrasing we had at this point.
Yep.
Okay. And then I have down here to RSVP for one of those sessions, click here. That link, as you can see, goes to concordmad.gov/cable TV, so it goes to the webpage. And I've also typed it out because when this piece of paper goes out, if it's in a print version, people can't click on the print version, but they'll be able to say, okay, that's the website. So these are the same link. Okay. And then on the second page, let's see if I can move this over a little bit. Yeah. There's a reference here to access an online survey, click here. And again, that goes to the cable TV webpage. The survey will be open, it says open May 11. We can revise that if you want to, or we can leave it as is, depending on how you feel comfortable. What do you think, Sue?
I'm torn. I maybe we could put the. I'm tempted to say something more like, if you guys want to open it before the focus groups, which I know we've had a lot of discussion around that, then I would say make it May 1st. Because I know it'll be done by then. It'll be up by then. Okay. And if you want to wait to open it on the day of the focus group, first focus group, you can leave it at the 11th. And I'm swayed by the conversations we had yesterday. My concern simply is I want to make sure that people don't just go, oh, I'll do the survey and won't come to the focus group.
Okay.
And my concern has been that if we let them know they can go to the focus group and do the online survey before the focus groups, they'll kind of punt and not do. But Jason and Carlin have kind of convinced me that that's not the way things work in Concord, and that people are always willing to give their input and multiple times. So
vote early, vote often. That's one of our Corey, and you're on mute right now. You have to unmute yourself, Corey, first.
I think there's a select group, and I think we keep hearing from the same people all the time. So we have a group of people in town that are very involved in the town. But my hope is that we'll go to the next layer and focus on people we don't hear from normally.
Well, that's a good idea. Well, I'm going to suggest, take your suggestions, Sue, about opening up the survey on May 1. And here's my thought process. The cards will probably go out around the 20th. And when people get the cards, if they're going to do the survey, it's rather than write it down on the calendar, wait till May 1. They could do the survey right then and still go to the focus groups.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you folks have a strong objection, I'm going to suggest that we say the survey opens May 1. Jason, what do you think about that?
I like that.
Okay, Vince, are you okay with that?
Sounds good.
Okay,
I think the survey has to be open when they get the card,
yeah,
because that would make me very confused and not want to take part in the process, to be honest.
yeah, that's a good point. Okay, well, let's say the survey will be open
May 1.
May 1. Yeah. Okay, Sue, I'll make that change and I'll send the revised press release to Donna as a final. Are you folks okay? Go ahead, Corey.
One of the things I was thinking of doing myself is because there's 240 housing units here, is having them put this in the newsletter.
Well, yeah.
So if there could be a line to encourage people, please add this information to your groups. We'd like as much participation as possible. Might be helpful.
Okay. Okay.
Carlin, do you know how you get listed in the bridge calendar?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I found out that process. I've got that done. Yeah, and I'll work with John on getting all that taken care of, getting the process in the bridge.
Because there's not a lot of stuff in there, actually. So
That's
No, there isn't. We can add a couple things.
And then the other thing is, do you know how to do Living Concord?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go to Living Concord, especially before the bridge.
Yeah.
to live in, to what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's called Living Concord, and it's basically a calendar run by some private citizens, I believe. Is that correct, Carlin?
That's right, here in town.
Okay.
And I think they are related to the Chamber of Commerce, essentially.
Okay.
But it's like that, this is the kind of thing that would be a good listing for it. Okay, all right. All right, Jason, how do you want to proceed as far as doing the press release? I'm ready to put this thing to bed unless you've got something else going on.
No, I mean, I think we have the website ready to go.
Okay.
So, and we can always add to the landing page or modify that, at a moment's notice. So,
Right.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay, I'm going to stop this share right now. There. Okay, that's good. All right, that was the major thing that I wanted to talk about as far as the franchise incentives. I'll talk to Donna McIntosh to make sure that we can basically launch this thing on Monday, April 10th. Now, Jason, do you know if that's going to cause any concern? And by launch meaning, we can finalize press release, have Donna start working on getting the card to be printed out. I'll leave it up to Donna to actually issue the press release to the bridge and the timing on that. Unless you think that's odd.
No.
She is the communications manager for the town. I kind of figured it's the best thing to do. Okay. All right, that sounds good. One thing I want to find out, this press release that we have here doesn't talk about any Zoom focus groups. We had talked about doing it on May 17th and May 31. I'm going to suggest that we don't really need them because we're going to be doing the online survey, because we're doing the 3 in-person groups. Now that relieves us with a little bit of pressure of having to do a Zoom call like this on the 17th and 31st. Is anybody of the members going to be upset that we don't do the Zoom groups? No. Okay. All right. You might be upset about it. You think we should be doing it? Explain.
Just out of an extreme sense of inclusivity. I don't know how these things really play out, and Susan, you might have a better feel for this, but are people in other communities hearing from just the usual suspects, or are they really reaching in depth to the public?
Good question. Here's what I've seen. The thoroughness and frequency of the outreach has everything to do with whether you go beyond the usual suspects. And it's something that I beat the drum on, and some people do it and some people don't. But you've got to get the postcard #1 is great because it's going to everybody. Okay. Yeah. And that's something that not everyone does. But then one has to follow that up with e-blasts. You have to follow it up with outreach to organizations and groups, be they senior or youth oriented or arts oriented or whatever. You have various boards and commissions right now with the town. Using those contacts and the people who are leaders in those arenas to be part of the outreach team is absolutely critical. Okay. You can't just put a press release out, send out a postcard, and think people are going to show up. The only people who are going to show up are the usual suspects. Right. You've got to really just bang the drum constantly in a lot of different places and through a lot of different media and medium in order to get people to show up. Also, the other key is everybody who is involved on this committee, everybody who is involved in various other things within the community, who are leaders within various, if we get them involved in outreach through their organizations, like some of the things that were mentioned on the call today, that's going to help reach deeper into the community. But I mean, the places that are really effective at going beyond the usual suspects are those who really go, frankly, what some people might consider overboard on the outreach part. But doing that, it assures us that we're going beyond scratching the first layer. Okay. And that is very, very critical when you get to the negotiating table.
Okay, that makes sense. Two things. I'm already on the calendar for the school committee for April 25, a few minutes to talk about this program. So Cynthia is a school committee member, and I appreciate the help with that. I'll be giving just about a 5-minute presentation with this, explain what's going on. And then we've already put into the Council on Aging a senior letter for April and for May, a little blurb with the locations. And Christina is on this call. Christina, if you have any other suggestions on how to reach out to the Council on Aging folks, and let them know what's going on. Let me know if there's something I can do to help publicize it some more. I appreciate that very much. So those are two excellent sources for reaching beyond the usual suspects, though that there will be more of that. Okay.
If you can, you might, I don't know how many postcards you're printing, but printing more than you're mailing out and using those postcards as a tool to hand out when you're speaking someplace or whatever is a good idea. I know some places, I sent Jason and Carlin an example of Worcester they did a flyer, and they did a postcard and a flyer, 8.5 by 11 sort of flyer thing. Okay. And that flyer was less expensive to produce, obviously, okay, and make multiple copies of. So one way or the other, when people are going out, it's nice to be able to hand something to folks, okay, with a piece of paper with the information on, okay. That's just a suggestion that might be useful.
Okay. Appreciate the suggestion on that one.
I think that's not only a good suggestion, I think it's critical. Because people just don't carry it. You know, we're assuming we're talking to people who are technically savvy and go to websites and things like that. That's not the majority of the people in my age group by any means. And people who don't have time, like parents of young children, but if they have something that they have, which they can, the information's right there, they can punch into, it might get them there faster.
Sure. Can we take about 3 minutes, Sue, and have you tell us what happens at the focus group meeting?
Okay.
We haven't talked about that.
Yeah. So what we do at the focus group meetings is I start out by, we just start out with, I ask people why they're there. Why'd you come here? Okay. We have everybody introduce themselves. So I want to create an environment where people feel comfortable talking, and not just me getting up there talking at them. Okay. So I do some warm up stuff like that at the front end. Okay. Then when I kind of roll into a kind of a presentation where I say, okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to give you some information about the process the town's involved in, why it's important, and why your input's important. Okay. And we're going to brainstorm some questions. And what I do up front is saying, okay, I'm going to give you the questions, and we're going to have one of the things that folks we typically put together, and I give you the information that goes into a kit, and that kit is handed out at each focus group meeting. Okay. And that kit has the PowerPoint. So I basically say, and here are the questions we're going to brainstorm. And I'm going to tell you right up front what they are. We're going to brainstorm them on and off throughout this meeting, but I want you to know what they are up front. Because as I give you information and we start to chat, I want you to start to write your ideas down on that piece of paper. All right. So that by the time we get to the formal brainstorming process, you already got things jotted down that you want to be able to make sure you say. So then I go through this sort of thing. It kind of explains the renewal process, why it's important, what the process is the town's going through, what some of the opportunities are. And then we go to brainstorming. And my partner, Randy Van Dalsen, is there with me. And Randy is the official he's the recorder. He's the guy or the person who writes on the wall when people give their ideas. Now, the process that we use for brainstorming is probably, some may consider an old school process, but I don't use the little post-it note approach that some places use with the colored post-it notes. We actually I'll give you the town a list of things I need. And one of them would be those great big brainstorming sheets with the sticky stuff on the back, and we'll have 4 sets of them set up in the wall because we brainstorm 4 questions. And as we're talking, even before we get to the sort of official brainstorming process, if something comes up, my partner Randy, he's going to write it down on the wall so that we have all 4 questions on the wall at all times. And at the same time, when we get to the formal brainstorming part, that'll be projected on the screen. Okay, so, and then at the end, when we do the drawing, one of the things we'll have to decide is how the methodology we want to use for each focus group with the drawing. When we were doing them strictly by Zoom during COVID, we had this thing, it was like a wheel that would spin on the screen and everybody's name was in it and then it would stop, okay? But a lot of times you can do as simply as having get little raffle ticket things, and as people come in, they keep one stub and the other, and that's the simplest, and then we just draw the prize out at the end. And then we always make sure that we remind people that there's a survey to do if they haven't done the survey yet. And in the kit, we'll also include information about just something an information sheet about where you can go to access the online survey. So I'm a believer in both. I'm with Corey. I think people need something physically in their hand, okay, to help remind them. I know I'm still that way. Either I use technology all the time, but I have pieces of paper and cards and things around me, and they help me remember, because I got so much stuff in my computer, I can't remember it all. But if I have something on the wall or something laying on my desk, I go, oh gee, and I have it written in my calendar, it reminds me of that. The other thing we'll do is, as people RSVP for the focus groups, all right, once we get a little bit closer, probably toward the end of April, we will send a regular update of who's RSVP. And I'll send that to the committee and to Jason and to anybody else you want me to. But the idea is you can begin to see who has RSVP'd, and most importantly, who has not RSVP'd, okay, and bug them about doing that. And then as right before the focus groups, 3 or 4 days in advance, we will send out a reminder to everybody who's RSVP'd saying, looking forward to seeing you on such and such a date and such a location. So that was more than 3 minutes.
That's okay. What are the 4 questions?
I'm sorry. The focus group questions. Well, I happen to have them right here. They are, and you'll probably go, well, what? Just a second here. I had the ones for okay. Well, the first question is, okay, what are the key issues facing Concord in the next 10 years? All right. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with cable or communications. Now, the next question is, how do you find out about what's happening in the community? And what makes it difficult if you're associated with a community group or organization to get information to people? All right. The third question is, how would you like to use the cable system or the community programming channels or community equipment or media tools to help you do what you do better? Because in many cases, the people who are at these meetings are people who are associated with their church or with an organization or with a school. And they're part of what they do is either consume the local information or put it out there. And then the fourth question we brainstorm is, what would make it easier for you to use the cable system, for you to use Minuteman Network, for you to get information out? So all of this at the end of the day, because of the way the law is written, I start out with that question, what are the key issues facing the community in the next 10 years? Because we have to base what we negotiate for on identified community cable related needs and interests. So we've got to go to the needs and interests of the community, not just stuff about cable. So if a big issue is the environment, okay, people could say environmental issues. What are the key issues? And it may be a specific kind of environmental issue. And then when we go, it just helps, that anchors us in the community interests and community needs. And then we get more specifically into the more detailed communications part. So that gives you just a general sense of what we do. Oh, you're muted.
Question you don't ask is, what problems have you had with Comcast?
No, that's all done on the, well, that will come up when people say, what was an issue? I pay too much for my cable bill.
Mhm.
That's an issue, okay? Or when I called the cable company, they didn't answer. That's an
You
issue.
can't get a human being.
You can't get a human being. But a lot of the detail around the customer service stuff, the survey is the best way. The online survey is the best way to get that. Okay. but it will come up. And what I do sometimes is on the front end, when I'm kind of doing the warm up with people,
Mhm.
I sow seeds, okay, of thinking, okay. And that's why the warm up part at the front end, when you see me do these, it's you're going, why is she up there having a conversation with people? Okay, well, I'm up there having a conversation with people because I want people to be comfortable in conversing and providing their ideas, because it makes it's harder for me as a facilitator if people just sit there like, excuse me, like lumps and don't say anything. Okay, I want them to make Randy and I work. All right. I want folks to be able to have a lot of ideas and make Randy have a sore arm at the end of the brainstorming session because he's written so many things on the wall.
Okay.
One thing that would help me, I haven't brought up, and since we're having this, I want to throw out now. It would be very, very helpful if I could have one person it could be somebody on the committee or whatever, sitting with a laptop and just taking notes while we're doing these sessions. Because having that additional documentation in addition to what we get on the wall helps, it's just very useful, okay, as we do the write-up on this stuff. So if somebody on the committee would like to do that, and then you can just email me the notes and I can help you, give you an idea of how to structure them. It makes it a much richer amount of data coming out of the process.
Sure. Okay. Corey, go ahead.
And not to overwork this subject, but can there be copies of the online survey, hard copies at these focus groups?
Here's the problem with, we can do that, yes, but here's the dilemma. When the way the survey is structured, it'll start out by saying, do you subscribe to cable? And if you answer yes, you get driven to certain questions.
Okay.
If you answer no, you get driven to others. So you can give a paper survey, but the problem is people who said no to that question, and it'll say, if you said no, please skip to question 14. They don't skip to question 14.
Okay.
So that's the tricky part of putting out a paper copy. Now, what we've done in some places, and particularly when we're working with folks who, for whom English is not the primary language,
Right.
or
Good.
for
Yeah.
seniors who do not have easy access or are not comfortable doing a survey, is what we'll do is we will provide guides. So somebody at a senior center who's very conversant with using the online survey, people will know they can go at certain days of the week and they can go and sit down with Sally, and Sally will help them do the survey. Okay. And she or he or Sam, okay, will sit down and ask the questions, and then the person will answer them, and this person will enter it in. And we found doing that works really well, particularly if we have a well organized person who can be helpful at let's say at the senior center or several places in town, or maybe the library too.
Yeah, at that point, Christina, I'm going to ask you to help me on that one. See if we can get a couple folks to help me go to the Council on Aging and set up a time when I'm happy to help folks input survey material. But there may be some people at the Council on Aging who are willing to help, or else will at least provide space where I can set up a laptop and they can offer it time. So I'll talk to you about that afterwards. But yeah, I think that would be probably the best way to do it. So that we can cover any of the seniors who want to have some assistance. Now, Cynthia, for school committee folks and school age parents, I'm guessing they probably won't want or won't need help filling in surveys. No, okay, all right. Those are the two major demographics that I can see being reaching out towards.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right, Vince.
To
Go ahead.
get them to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the trick.
Stu, is there somewhere, is it appropriate maybe to have MMN participate in one of the focus groups, either having kind of a show and tell or actually doing a video on one of the focus groups, like kind of a town hall type thing?
Okay, so I'm not quite understanding. Are you saying videotaping us doing one of the focus groups, or are you saying something else?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's certainly, yeah, that would be great. Some places they video what the focus groups. Now, one of the things I'll just give you a heads up about, but it hasn't been a big problem lately, but no, it can be. When something is being recorded, some people aren't as open about talking
Right.
about stuff,
Mhm,
particularly if they know it's going to be broadcast.
mhm.
Now, other people, it doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, but
The usual
That-
suspects.
that's the one caution I would give, even though I think I like the idea of videoing it. And then running it as a show, basically, and then using at the end of the show, driving people the online survey. Now, the question is that going to depress people's willingness to brainstorm? You know your community better than I.
I would also ask for Jason's input on this one because it would mean requiring, asking staff to attend one of these things.
So
You know-
I do plan on attending the 3 events. I know 2 of them are during the day. There's only 1 in the evening, so I'm happy to be there and help however I can.
All right. Okay. All right, where should we go from here? We've got the general plan of what's going to happen at the focus groups. We have the press release, we have the postcard. We have a general distribution plan roughly. I kind of think we're about done with this franchise renewal updates unless some of the committee members has something else you want to have questions asked about Comcast franchise renewal process.
We'll just review what's going to happen in June and July at our next meeting.
Okay, that's a good question. Look, let's turn to the needs assessment plan, the little schedule that we have. So Sue, walk us through this. After we do the focus groups, what it looks like here is,
Yep.
We'll do the focus groups. The survey will be opened. You folks are going to basically take June and July to gather the input. And
Right.
that's in July or early August, send a draft report to the,
That's the plan, yes, at this point.
and that report is the needs assessment
That's
report.
the needs assessment report and the compliance report, okay?
Compliance report.
Because I put them together, I put them as 2 separate reports, a compliance review. And one of the things that I'll be doing in particular, and I'll be needing to circle back, Jason, with you or others, okay, is I will be doing an analysis of the current license agreement and identifying the key deliverables in that agreement, creating a table. Then I'll be coming back and working and talking to folks at the town to determine whether the company has actually complied with the terms key deliverables in the franchise agreement. And so that'll be a process that I'll be undertaking. I'll be starting it in May, just building the tables and doing all of that sort of thing. And then in late May and then in June and early July, I'll be having to interact with staff and with other appropriate people in the committee or whatever to I'll give you the table, I'll give you questions, and then I'll be coming back and we'll be going over that. Because I'm hoping not to have to make another trip back in before the report is done. But in any case, that's one piece we haven't talked a lot about, but it will be going on simultaneously in those months.
Okay, all right. Now, I don't know what your timeline envision that happens after August 1. In the past, this committee has not met in the months of July or August. So June is the last meeting of the year, and then starting up again first or second week of September. We've got a franchise contract that expires in April of next year. So September-ish, having a report presented to the committee.
Well, we could, well, if you don't meet in July and August, then otherwise I would say say August, but.
It kind of depends what the committee wants to do, but I'm open to suggestions. We could have some changes and shifting around in the committee. Obviously, we have a person who's not here who may be joining us as well. So we've got that.
Well, and the other thing that in my experience, what happens is at the point in time when the reports are done, things shift over to dealing with the city attorney.
Okay.
and getting them involved and the town manager to determine how they want to proceed with the negotiations.
Mhm.
And that piece becomes pretty critical right then. When we get when the need assessment report is done, then that piece kicks in, and how we're going to approach the cable company, who's going to be engaged in those discussions. All of that comes in, will take over the world, so to speak, when it comes to this process.
So that's a new phase. Jason, this is about the time where I think about now is when you might want to socialize with Carrie, if you haven't already, about getting the town council involved sometime in September. That would be giving them at least some planned lead time, unless you've got some other timeline. That's kind of what I see happening, is starting around right after Labor Day, starting with this second phase.
I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
And then deciding who's going to be involved in the negotiating team, or how the negotiations are going to be done. If there's going to be somebody from this committee, if it's going to be somebody outside this committee, what's the most effective way to do the negotiations? Let me turn to that point for just briefly, Sue. In doing the negotiation phase with Comcast, what size of group has been the most effective size? How many people should be on the negotiating team, in other words?
Very small.
More than
I mean, I'll tell you what it typically is, and that is somebody, depending on the form of government, whether it's a city form or what kind of town form of government, okay. We're going to want to have somebody who can represent the decision makers. Okay.
that's just
And we're going to want to have somebody, I mean, in most of the cases I've been involved in, we usually have the city attorney involved or town council involved in the meetings. A lot of times my role is since I'm sort of the cable expert, okay, and I have a lot of legal background, okay, in the field, but I like to work hand in hand with the city's attorney, because there's things that the city attorneys don't normally specialize in this arena, okay, and I do. So the combination, that little marriage is a really good combination for the town. And then having either the town administrator or a citizen who's very knowledgeable and who's been involved in the process all along. The key here is we don't want a huge group. We just want it tight, and because there's strategy that gets involved in all of this and so forth.
So you're talking 4, maybe 5 people at the most.
I would say no more than 4.
4. Vince, go ahead.
Sue, who usually participates from the Comcast stand? How many people?
1.
Okay. Then it sounds like the group should be pretty small, actually, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, and I have to say that given I negotiate different places around the country, I'll tell you my Massachusetts experience recently. Now, Massachusetts experience 10 years ago is very different than it is now in dealing with Comcast in negotiation. I will tell you that also. But it's usually 1, and it will be the parties to the negotiation will need to be patient people. I will just say that would not go any farther.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Cynthia, does that answer your question about what's going to happen after?
Yep, that's good.
I like that forecast. I think that's going to be very effective.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next agenda item, which is just talking about the minutes that we have. I'm trying to get us caught up. We've got 4 sets that need to be discussed. And those 4 sets are January 5 and February 2. We've sent them to you. I hope you've had time to take a look at those. And the other 2 are September 8. We never.
1 second. Do we need Sue to stay with us, or?
Sue, you're welcome to stay, go, whatever you wish.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Okay,
I'll
sorry.
multitask.
Something else. So September 8th, and then Vince also sent out March 3rd today. So what I'm going to do is take a look, if I can find them. Let's look at the January meeting minutes first. See if there are any edits or corrections or changes on this. September.
Carlin, for Sue's benefit, there was one thing I noted on the March minutes that she had brought up specifically, and I'm not sure if it's something that needs to get acted on quickly, but it had to do with the access to the MMN studio in the high school. And the fact that, it was very difficult, for the public to get access.
You want to look at the March minutes first? Is that what you're talking about?
That was, well, specifically that question, if Sue had, other things to attend to.
Oh. That way, I believe was an observation that I had, and that observation will be reflected as part of the needs assessment process.
Okay.
Are we doing the March or are we just doing the other two?
I want to start with the March 3rd one first, because we're talking about now, and we're going to do the other three as well. So can I get a motion? Are there any corrections to the March 3rd minutes at this point? Okay, I don't see any. Can I get a motion to adopt the March 3rd, 2023 minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion for the March 3rd minutes? Okay. All right. All those in favor, I'll have to do a roll call. Carlin Reed says yes. Cynthia Rainey.
Aye.
Vince Carlson.
Aye.
And Corey Atkins, not as abstaining, she's not responding. Okay, so that one has been adopted. Let's go with 3 in favor and 1 abstention, since Corey's not responding at this point.
Her seat seems to be empty.
It is, she may have had to step away for just, okay, so March 3 has been approved. Next one I want to do is, let's do the September 8, 2022. No. Corey, let me backtrack. We just looked at the March 3 minutes. Did you have any corrections or additions to that? Are you okay with us approving that? All right, so that's unanimous 4-0 approval on that.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Okay, the September 8 minutes. Now, Vince, these are the ones that we didn't have the recording of, but I was able to recreate a 1-pager, very short, my notes that I took at that meeting. So this is for the September 8, 2022 meeting minutes. And I circulated those as well. Are there any questions about the September 8 minutes? Okay.
Carla, I did have some notes, which I wasn't able to dig up. I meant to email you on that, but I don't think it's significant. I looked at what you had said there, and that corresponds with what I remember about it.
Okay. All right. Then can I get a motion to accept the minutes of September 8, 2022 as presented?
So moved.
Okay. And got a first and a second. Got it. September 8. Okay. Any other discussion about the September 8, 2022 minutes? No. Okay. Let's do a roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes. Cynthia?
Aye.
Vince?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
4 is approved. All right, that one's okay. Lori Austin from the town's clerk office has been bugging me to get my minutes, and she's doing a real good job on that. So I thought I'd comply. The next one is the January 5 minutes of 2023. January 5, 2023. Do I have any corrections to the January 5, 2023 minutes? Not seeing anything. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes as presented for January 5, 2023?
So moved.
Corey moves this one. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Cynthia. Thank you very much. Any further discussion on the January 5, 2023 minutes? Okay. Do a roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes. Cynthia?
Aye.
Vince?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right. Last one to do. This is the February 2nd, 2023 minutes, February 2. Are there any questions about this particular set of minutes? Vince, I saw there was one misspelling. The word next doesn't have a W in it. And I'm not, I'm debating whether it's worth having these corrected for one misspelling. I don't know. I'm gonna,
What it is, they're all handy to me. I looked at all of them in case I needed to, resend you a copy.
okay, then what I'd like to do is I'd like you to revise the word next because it's really bugging me. It's in paragraph number 3. The enterprise budget should be available before the next meeting. That's the phrase. That's where the word next is, and it has an extra W in it. So if you take that out, that's the one amendment that I have. Aside from that, I had nothing else. Can I get a motion?
February,
Sorry, what?
Second,
February again?
That is February 2,
Okay,
and that's where the one correction is. I'll make a note. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
so moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second for that?
Second,
Any further discussion? No. Okay, roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes.
Aye.
Cindy?
Yes,
yes,
Corey? Yes.
yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so that one's been approved as amended. All right, those are the 4 minutes. I'm going to remind Vince on the October 26 minutes. We've already approved them, but during our meeting in January, we wanted to make one correction on that one. The October 26th, up at the top, it says the date is October 16. And I think that's significant enough that I'd like you to change that one as well. So for the October 26, 2022 minutes, please change that date from October 16 to October 26, and then send it either to me or to Lori Austin, the clerk, for filing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. All right.
I'll send you 2 new sets.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That will get us caught up with everything, guys. That's just amazing. Okay, that's minutes. One of the documents in the packet was a copy of my Xfinity bill. I've X'd out my numbers, my account numbers, such, but I had circled a couple of things on it. One is called franchise costs, the other is called the franchise fee. I just wanted you to understand that those are the 2 components that are part of what we're going to be negotiating with our negotiations starting in September. Okay, that's kind of what those 2 numbers. One of them is franchise cost is 87 cents on my bill, and the franchise fee is $8.35. And then 835 reflects that 4.8% annual revenues. And the 87 cents is the capital cost recovery from the 2014 to 2024 franchise. Okay, that's what that document was all about. Okay, now back to agenda. Where are you? Okay. The next meeting I've got scheduled is May 4th, and we're going to do June 1. May 4th. We can now meet by Zoom, as you can obviously see, where the governor has allowed us to do that for the next 2 years, which is great. May 4th is going to be just after town meeting, but just before we do the focus group. Do you folks want to do the May 4th meeting as hybrid or Zoom or in person? What's your preference? Cynthia, do you have a preference? You don't care? Vince, do you care?
Either way.
Okay, Cynthia,
I can do either.
either way. All right.
I like to meet in person, but it's
Okay.
whatever.
Corey, what about you? Do you want to be in person or a hybrid or a Zoom?
I like hybrid because it gives people options and it's more inclusive.
Okay, all right. Jason, you okay with us doing a hybrid? Because it means you have to help me set up the monitor. That's
Yep.
the application of it. You okay with that? All right. So for the May, let's make that a hybrid. Is 3:30 to 5 o'clock still an okay time for that? Cynthia, you're good with that? Good. And Vince, are you okay with that? 3:30? Corey, are you still okay with 3:30 on May 4th?
Mhm.
Okay, means yes, good. All right, well, that'll be a hybrid. And I will arrange for the room. It'll probably be the select board room again, but I'll let you know for sure about that. And then the last meeting for this season, June 1, I've had that down for being the awards ceremony, the awards thing. And we decided a while back to have a party, basically. So can we do it at the studio, Jason? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, if we use our traditional time of 3:30, school is out, so we can do that.
What do you think about that, guys, for our last meeting of this session? June 1, 3:30 at the studio?
Good.
Okay.
Let us know how we can help so you're not stuck with the whole thing.
Yeah, don't do what you did earlier and try to haul everything by yourself through up the stairs. Let us help with
Yeah,
okay?
right.
Okay. All right. We'll talk more about how to do that at the main meeting, I suspect. Okay. There's also a chance that May 4th will be my last meeting.
Why?
I've been asked to join the finance committee, and my application is in the process now to be part of that. So if that goes through, and it kind of looks like it will at this point, I don't have the absolute guarantee at this point, but if it does, my last day really is the day after town meeting, which is May 4th. So I can be part of the May 4th pay committee, but after that, you guys, I could be part of the audience like Nancy Pierce and Chris, and everybody else. Okay. So just want to give you that heads up. Odds are that I suspect that May 4th, part of the agenda will be to have elections of officers for the upcoming year. So you might want to think about what to do. And hopefully we'll have Megan join us, the new person as well. She would normally be nominated and then appointed. And there's enough time I think to do that, at least in the nomination part, to get done before May 4th. So that's what I wanted to let you folks know about. Any questions, observations about the meetings? Because after that, after June, we take the July, August break, then you start up again in September with phase 2, with whatever phase 2 happens to be.
Carl, when you mentioned your bill, that reminded me of a question for Sue. And it concerns the basic cable tier. The very, very basic one that it's almost impossible to know that it even exists.
Yeah.
But I think the current price is something like $12 a month. I think I had seen that Concord is somewhat lower than most of the towns surrounding us. And is that completely negotiable? Can we stick with the $12 per month, or at least under $20?
No, rates are totally deregulated. So the town has no say whatsoever over the rates of the cable company. They can raise it or lower it at their pleasure.
Okay, so it would probably go up then in that case. You know how much?
No. No, Vince, I can't tell you how much. One of the things that I know folks often have a lot of opinions about is what the rates are and how and they're too much, but the town has no say over that. Rates have been completely deregulated for a number of years at the federal level. No, there's no control over the rates whatsoever, which is interesting. One thing I want to throw out on that topic, and to watch your newspapers, you may have seen this already, but there's a big kerfuffle going on in DC about things like Ticketmaster,
Yes.
airlines, and cable things, and how you get quoted one price, but by the time you pay the bill, you add the service fee, the seat fee, the put your feet on the couch fee, whatever it might be, and suddenly you're paying $40 more. I suspect we are going to, and that's a consumer protection issue. It's okay. I suspect over the next year or so, we may see some federal law changes in that arena. Cable will likely be impacted by that, but rates are under law are completely deregulated. The issue of these add-on fees is a separate issue that it's not just, it's actually all other things that sort of triggered people starting at the federal level, starting to look at that issue. So you'll see more in the newspapers about this over the next 6 to 12 months, I think.
Okay.
When were they deregulated? Do you know?
Well, they were gradually. I mean, when I started in this field many years ago, Everything was regulated, and that goes back 45 years. But I think the last round of deregulation probably would have happened in the 2008 to
December 2021. That was the last rate case that Comcast was filed December 2020. And it was shortly after that, like in January, February, March of 2021. That's when the FCC granted Charters and Comcast's Massachusetts petitions to deregulate.
Right, but see,
because of the direct-
those only applied to cases where there was supposedly there was no effective competition.
And those are the last ones for statewide for Massachusetts.
Yeah, but there are very, very few places that actually fell in that bucket. But for the vast majority of the communities, the rates have been completely deregulated for 15 years, up 10 to 12 years at least. Because it does not fall in the category, the very limited category where rate regulation could occur because of the lack of effective competition. And that doesn't mean another cable company providing service in that town. Okay, it means something different.
Well, I guess it must have worked here in 2000. So that must have been the very end of, the possibilities there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, this brings us to the liaison public comment section. And Christina from Council on Aging, if you have any words of wisdom, feel free to share. Appreciate that. Let you go first. And after Christina, if you have a chance, then Nancy Pierce. Chris?
Just let me know what you want me to do about the Council on Aging for the assistance. And there was one other thing. Oh, just also how we can help you promote. I would also agree with maybe some of the things we can hand out by just handing out instead of mailing out. I just wanted to make the comment. I know that you're probably not, but in the Concord Journal, I was so excited today that I got my Concord Journal on a Thursday. That never happens anymore. And then I realized it was from March 30th. So I love it.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it.
Whatever you want, just let me know.
Yeah, will do. I'll work with you on that. Oh, Christina, by the way, congratulations on becoming the new chair of the Council on Aging.
Thank you.
I think that's marvelous. I'm hoping that you will appoint someone in your stead, if you choose not to do it yourself, to be the liaison for the Council on Aging, because you are the key one of the key demographics for this organization.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy Pierce, Carlisle, do you have any observations for us?
Not today. Thank you.
Okay, Cynthia, do you have anything else from the school committees? No, okay. Jason, what about you?
I got nothing. Thank you.
You're sick of us already. Fine, good, Danny. Well, good luck. Okay, folks, is there anything else that we need to discuss? I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, we might have a new person coming on board. We've gone through the list. Okay, all of my little checkboxes have been done. I think we're about done. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we adjourn? Okay, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Bye,
Have a very
guys.
pleasant afternoon. Thank you very much, Sue. I appreciate that. We'll be talking later. Okay,
Thank you, Carla.
thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.